It's Lee. I'm here with another pickups video. Had a bit of a strange week in terms of where I went. Normally I go to my usual game stores or I hit the yard sales, but this week there was a geek market. It's kind of a yard sale. They get all sorts of vendors selling stuff like comic books and action figures and things like that. Excuse me. And there are usually game vendors. And they're different vendors than I'm used to, which is good. I didn't find much there, but I did find this, and you'll note that this box is in terrible, terrible condition. But I'm not that much of a condition snob, especially when it comes to these cardboard boxes for Genesis games. First of all, there aren't that many of the games that actually have these. And secondly, it's hard to keep a box like this in good shape. If someone's going to play a game, they're going to probably damage this box. But I picked up this game. It's Phantom 2040, excuse me. And I really like the art on the cover. It looks straight out of the 1930s, which I believe is when the Phantom... I'm pretty sure it's a comic book from way, way back in the day. Very early days of comic books. But yeah, it's a pretty neat looking game. The guy had a price of $10 on this. And at that price I was going to pick it up no matter what. And then he started hard selling me on it and telling me it was a lot like Metroid, which is a bit of a stretch. But I have actually watched the game a little bit, some gameplay of it, and it is a pretty decent game. And for $10, you know, the cart alone for $10 would be a good deal. To get the box, and the insert is in there, and I believe the manual is in there as well. So for $10, I'm practically stealing this thing. I did not mind paying $10. I was really happy to pick it up. Especially considering I was on a bit of a limited budget. I just came back from a bit of a vacation in a place called Tremblant, and it cost me a bit of money. So then I went to a toy store in a place called Almont. It's about half an hour away from where I live, maybe 40 minutes. And this toy store also carries some games sometimes. I think they just take them kind of on a whim. They focus mostly on newer games. They even rent games, which is a lost kind of service. But I saw these in the case, and I said, you know what, I can't really afford... Like, I saw a couple Saturn games, and I said, I can't really afford Saturn games right now, but I might as well ask what they want for them. At least get myself an idea of the price, and maybe I can come back or whatnot. And so, this was the first game I saw, Sonic 3D Blast. You know, not a very well, some people don't mind this game, but I think most people think it's not a very good game. But that's fine. It's on my list of games to get. I figured, you know, most of the Sonic games are games I'm going to try to get, just because once I start a series, I find it really hard to pick out bad games and keep the good games in that series. I usually just kind of get them all and say, you know, I've got them all. I'm a collector. That's fine. So yeah, Sonic 3D Blast was the first game that caught my eye. There were actually three games, but I neglected to ask the price of the other one because I thought these prices would be a little higher. So then I also asked about this, which is Panzer Dragoon Sway, which means 2, I believe. And this is not in perfect shape. The manual's it looks like it's been underwater a little bit, but the game's in good shape. Same thing for Sonic 3D Blast. The game's in very good shape. But the manual for Sonic 3D Blast is much nicer. It's actually quite decent. So I asked about these two games, and I figured he'd come back. They have very reasonable prices there, and they actually like to deal with people. They'll say, like, you know, if it comes up to $25, they'll say, just give me 20, you know? So I asked him, how much do you need to get for these? And he said, let me talk to a guy. We just got them in this morning. Went to talk to the person, came back, and he told me he'd be really happy to get $14 for both of them. And I was all too excited to pay that amount for these games, because I expected him to come back with like a $40 price tag, maybe a $50 price tag, which would have been totally reasonable, because this game alone at game stores locally would sell for about $50. Maybe $40. I might be exaggerating a little bit, but even then, the 3D Blast would be at least $20. So you'd be looking at $60 worth of games. So I kind of expected a $40 price tag, and when it came back with $14, I almost jumped out of my shoes. I was pretty excited. So Yeah, $14 for these two games, and $10 for a boxed Genesis game that's fairly well regarded. Tends to go for, $30 if it was in perfect shape. 30 to $35 if it was in perfect shape. But that's a really good deal. Like 20 to keep this under $25 to have 3 games. That's very sweet. I add to my Saturn collection, which was kind of my weakest collection. I add to my Genesis collection, which is kind of a goal of mine this year. Those are great pickups. I cannot be any happier with that. At that price, on the budget that I was on, which was essentially $25, that's perfect. All right. Thanks for watching.